everybody, to the 253 all day, every day podcast review channel, whatever you want to call it, honestly. Like I said last week, I do not care what you call it, as long as you're listening and you enjoy the content, well, thank you. This week, we are going to be talking about Zen Ramen Noodles on market. I repeat, the one on market. That will be the stipulation of this one. Not the one out in Parkland by PLU, but the one in market. Excuse me. This joint, locally owned joint, started off in Parkland, Washington, baby. Shout out to Parkland. I mean, it is Tacoma, but that's where I grew up. So they started off in Parkland, Washington. They are a Naruto-based themed ramen shop. From the anime series Naruto, because Naruto loved ramen. That was his favorite food. That was his comfort throughout the whole series. The first person to ever love Naruto, not really love him, but accept him for who he was the ramen shop owner. It's one of those things as a Naruto fan. It had to be. If you were gonna open a Naruto themed restaurant, it had to be ramen. If it wasn't ramen, I would have been scratching my head. But you know, they did it right. They opened it up as a ramen shop. And if you haven't seen the anime Naruto, please watch it. Read the manga, watch the anime. I don't care. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I guarantee once you get to the end of Shippuden, or at least when you get to the end of the Pain series, you will realize why there's not just one location, but two locations of this Zen Ramen Noodle spots open in Tacoma, because Naruto is one of those animes that for people is up there with Dragon Ball Z, Yo-Yo Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Fist of the North Star, what other classic ones? Ghost in the Shell. It's up there with at least people my age that watched it, and now even the younger generation. It's just a great cartoon with wholesome meanings, in-depth character development you just don't get in regular American television. You just don't. You really, really don't. I still think the Pain arc in Naruto is one of the top 3 best arcs ever to be made in anime. The end of it, the fight between Pain and Jiraiya, just everything about that series is just great. So why not open a ramen shop with one of the best animes as its theme ever, and just completely plaster it everywhere, man. It's a geek's heaven. I have friends out of state texting me when they see this restaurant, because it kind of blew up on TikTok there for a second. They were hitting me up, asking me where it was at, and I was like, really? Wow, it's got that big? That's really dope. So the theme of this restaurant is 100% 10 out of 10. I love it. When I was in there eating, you got your little booths, your normal traditional style booths, which is dope. Unfortunately, with COVID, they didn't have like a bar seating. I don't think this location will either. But it would be cool if they one day, if they could expand out, maybe even out into the little patio that they have, if they have bar seating ramen out there, because that's more of the feel in the anime. It's the classic scene of him and Kakashi Sensei and Sakura eating ramen from the backside, back paneling it. It's just amazing. So that would be kind of cool. I can picture a bunch of photo themes in my head right now with that setup. Oh, that'd be amazing. Idea. Interesting. But get back to this place. The theme is amazing. I don't really know in this location how many people actually understood what was going on. I know a lot of people there was just trying it for ramen wise. They have a bunch of flat screen televisions up, so they're playing what I call sad boy videos of Naruto, where it's basically just lo-fi music, very light, chill, jazzy, family-friendly music with the Naruto series played on a loop. A lot of times the fights, the one that they were playing, I think, was Sasuke versus Madara, I think. They were playing in the background over just some simple lo-fi beats. Nothing too amazing and hard and stuff like that, but it brings into that theme, because the Naruto anime has developed into his own little culture, and definitely the lo-fi music. If you are a huge Naruto fan, you watch all those videos on YouTube. Naruto and lo-fi just go hand to hand. Sasuke sad boy, anybody? like, you know. So the theme, I loved it. They do serve alcohol, normal height beer, all that stuff. Even though height is, I think, is Korean, not Japanese. Sorry, my bad. They serve sake, which was really cool. I thought that was awesome. Obviously, I didn't drink. I was just getting done from rock climbing that day, so I wasn't really in the mood to have sake. I think at like 11 in the afternoon. I mean, on a Sunday. I mean, maybe ask me another day I will be, but not that day. But they did offer it. So I guess we have to start getting into more of like the food and stuff there. This is where, I mean, you have to be honest with everything that you do, and this is why it is a review channel. So I have to be honest. I was not impressed too much with the food wise. The service, the people, the serving staff was very, very friendly, very, very polite. I just wasn't, I guess my stipulation going into a place like this, being very, I have a very strong Asian culture, obviously behind me being half Filipino, and I grew up in it, and I grew up with a lot of friends, a lot of Korean friends, a lot of Japanese friends, so I'm really, really into the culture and deep rooted, so there were just some traditional things that, at least at this one, I was kind of just automatically had the expectation in my head I was going to get it, and I didn't, so I was kind of like, I don't know, that's just me. One of my first gripes I would have to say is that the hot tea, first of all, I ordered it and they made me pour my own hot water that wasn't even filled. And then when I asked about it, they told me to wait and sit there. And obviously the jug wasn't filled, and I wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but I even asked the lady, I was like, hey, I think this is empty. She's like, no, just sit there and just keep trying it. I gave up and just like kind of walked away. I was also kind of expecting with hot tea, at least in a traditional style in Asian culture, I was expecting it in a pot, already brewed. You don't even really have to try hard with me. Just throw some couple green tea packets in there in a little kettle. Give us that. Maybe because of COVID, they can't do it that way. But I mean, at least try. I mean, whatever. I just personally like hot tea with my soup a lot of the times. Just one of those things, especially after a nice hard climb. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm being picky, but it is what it is. The next thing I ordered the katsu chicken ramen. I was just feeling something a little bit more dense that day. I just got done with a heavy climb, so I wanted chicken and I definitely wanted some katsu. Whoever was cooking that day needs to follow the recipes for the broth a little bit closer to the guys out in Parkland. Okay? The broth was just the broth. The egg was just a normal hard-boiled cooked egg with a little sauce into it. I was super hungry at the time, so I scarfed it down pretty much. But when afterwards, like, I guess for me, when I'm eating ramen or even any type of soup-wise, especially with like even pho or any of that stuff, broth is what, for me, is what makes the soup. I mean, the noodles were good, and the katsu was fried up actually pretty well and cut really well. I did enjoy the breading that they had, and the katsu was good. But when you're having ramen, for me, it's the broth. After you eat all the noodles and you get all the rest of the stuff and you mix everything in, the broth should be the thing that you dip your spoon in and you taste it right there at the very end, and it should be warm and just with enough spices and herbs. It should be the thing that accents it at the very end of the thing. It's like having pho at a very, very late night after but like a good night of drinking with friends, and you come back and you order a big old bowl of pho. You finish up the noodles, you finish up the meats, and you sit there and you slurp the last little bit. Oh, that was missing in this meal. The broth was very bland, at least for my likings. No hate on any of the chefs, no hate on the restaurants. Maybe it was a bad day, I don't know. But this wasn't the only time that I've had bland broth from here. It is what it is. I just wanted to throw that out there, that if you're a ramen head like me, or just like a soup fan in general, just being from the Asian culture, you grow up in that thing where, you know, at least for me wise as Filipino, it's like the adobo broth was the best thing. You have the adobo, and then you take a little bit of the broth and you put it on the top of your rice with like a bay leaf on the side. You take the one with the bay leaf because it's so good. It's like, oh, if that tasted bland to me, it wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't. It didn't have the spice. It didn't have the kick. It just didn't have the love. It didn't have the flair. It didn't have the kick. It didn't have the grandma love. That's why I picture it as, man. It's like the same thing, man. When my grandma made me meals, bro, it had that extra grandma love into it, man. It had that extra just like there. And when I was coming to this place, that's what I kind of was expecting, because that's the one out in Parkland. That's when I had ramen out there, when I lived out there and was out there a lot more, their ramen was on point. And it was really, really good. And I will do a review on the Parkland one. I just need to make it back out there. And I feel bad because I'm a Parkland boy. It's just that now I live up north, or up on the north end. But it is what it is. But that one, if you have the time, if you're a ramen head like me, go to the Parkland one, just please. And then come back to the Market one and have one of the burritos, because that's the other thing they have on their menu, which is dope. So they have like this Asian infused burrito style that I think personally that they're better at making than their soups. The burrito that I had was, oh crud, I don't remember now. I should have wrote that down. It's the chicken katsu one. I'm a chicken guy, so but the burritos were way more on point than the ramen noodles. But I just had to say that out there, because at least for somebody like me, that I love my noodles. I really appreciate a good even what is it, the black sauce noodle? They used to have it at the end of South Tacoma Way where Royal Box used to be back in the day. That black sauce noodles, that stuff was really good. And anybody that has that same expectations, and if you're going to the one on the Market, I'm saying, hey man, skip on the ramen for a minute and just go for the burrito. That's my recommendation. And just get a normal drink. Don't get the hot tea. Outside of that, that's kind of my review of Zen Ramen Noodle on the marketplace. On Market, man, whoa, these episodes are getting longer and longer, so that's kind of cool. If you guys ever get a chance, follow me on my Instagram. That's where I'm kind of posting a little bit more all the time. Hit me up on there if you ever need me. My Twitter, I need to definitely be more active on that. Definitely something I need to get more into. Just not my favorite thing. If you're ever wondering about any of my prints from my photography stuff, I got it right there at Pick Fair. Just right now, just due to being a starving artist type of a situation, that is the best way and option for me to present as many prints as possible without having to have the stock on hand and having to pay the cost up front. That's one of the biggest things. I would love to get to that point where I just have all my prints ready available and I have them on hand. That's kind of my goal with that situation. So it is what it is. And the last thing, I actually put my Twitch down there. We actually kind of popping over there on my Twitch, but like what I'm saying, you get a lot less professional look from my state. From me, I'm hanging out with the boys. We're playing some guns. We're playing with some video game. We're playing video games with guns in it. There's a lot of profanity. There's a lot of sometimes debauchery, but lots of fun. Relaxed. If you're like into that, all the rest of the people out there watching, I talk a lot of anime on that channel. My Discord is also on my Twitch, where that is where my main community is, that from everywhere. My Instagram people, my Twitch people, we have a bunch of channels. We're talking music, we're talking anime, we're talking video games. We're always up there. That's why I kind of want to put that out there. That's where like really me is coming through. My Twitch, my Discord, and I like it that way. That's like kind of like a grassroots. This is fun. This is fun for me, just to like talk about stuff that I want to talk about, which is dope. I love these. I'm going to keep them up. The next one that I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to them about super near dear to me. One of my favorite spots. It's been my favorite spot since like college-wise, since like freshman year of college. I used to come to the shop, buy their clothes, them in casual. I was always trying to find the dopest Tacoma drops all the time. Next week, I'm going to be talking about ETC Tacoma, man, and I'll show you some off of my own collection from them, because I got some stuff from way back in the day. I think I even, from way back. So That one I'm going to be talking about. That one might be a 30-minute episode, because what those boys are doing out there is going to be one of the inspirations of what I'm trying to do and build my brand and do what I'm trying to do. So please follow me on any of these things. Thank you so much for listening, and shout out to everybody that listened to the campfire one last week. I do appreciate that. I saw that one really did pop. At least for my channel wise, it popped. I know it's not big, but you know it's big for me, so it's cool what it is. It is. Also, like I said, follow my Twitch, and thank you so much for listening. Peace and love. Hey man, and don't take and try your best in everything that you do. Put 110%, sometimes even 120. Even if you don't want to do something, just do it. Because you might end up doing something good. I don't know. I'm just talking now. Peace.